Hi, my name is Ricardo Salazar. I lead a team of solutions engineers at Moveworks. And today we're going to spend some time talking about having an AI Copilot advantage. One of the challenges that we've seen manifest across many organizations is that there's tons of different data across a variety of different systems. Let's take John, for example, who needs access to Salesforce to look up upsell opportunities for his accounts. He's presented with a veritable sea of different systems on which he might need to go to get that information, and doesn't have really clear instructions or understanding of how to go about doing it. Even if John remembers that what he needs to do is open an IT support ticket, he's still presented with having to wait multiple hours for the agents to actually get to his ticket, much less the number of days that it might take for access to be successfully provisioned. You have to think about getting approvals, reaching out to the appropriate folks, and then executing the changes necessary for him to get access. Now, this actually gets multiplied out across all the support teams that exist within an organization. In some cases, you have ticketing systems like IT. In others, other support organizations might actually work out of things like email or chat systems. What if instead of having to deal with all of that, John could just ask for the things that he needs or issue he might be having in natural language, and then have Moveworks there to understand and take action on his behalf? The intent here is Moveworks has the ability to connect all of the different enterprise systems and make them accessible via language. The way that Moveworks is able to do this is by manifesting as a platform that is deeply integrated into your enterprise systems. We come prepackaged with over 200 best-in-class large language models to execute best-in-function actions for specific needs across the enterprise. All of our models are trained on over 1 petabyte of enterprise data, and through our native integrations to your internal systems, we can leverage your enterprise context to ensure that the resources are the appropriate ones as needed. In this case, it could be something like John directly being provisioned access by being added to the appropriate Okta group. Now, we do come with some out-of-the-box solutions, for example, our HR and IT offerings, very, very robust search, and of course, communications that can be targeted to individual or multiple employees. And underneath that, we're underpinned by robust and holistic analytics. After all, we are a machine learning company. All of this can then be extended through our customizations into other areas of the business. Let's take some time and actually transition into a demonstration of the technology. You'll see that I'm now in Teams. The way that Moveworks typically manifests within organizations is as a chatbot within the collaboration tool. Now, we do have native integrations with Microsoft Teams, Slack, Google Chat, Zoom, WebEx, etc. The idea is to meet employees where they are. So as a team member, I can go to my chatbot, which in my demonstration environment is called Moveworks, and I can start interfacing with it. Now, one thing I will note, none of our over 300 customers has a chatbot within their environment called Moveworks. All of our customers have individually branded bots that have names that are relevant to their particular organization. As a team member, I can go and start asking questions in natural language. Like, for example, I accidentally deleted an important email. Can you help? What Moveworks is going to be doing here on the back end is first, understand what I'm actually asking for and take a look at all of the available resources within this environment. Now, you'll notice that here what it's doing is it's going and searching the knowledge base, and it has found 8 related answers that it could provide me. Now, as an end user, I don't want to have to go and sift through 8 different knowledge articles that might be sitting in different knowledge bases. So what Moveworks is going to do to provide me additional value is consolidate that information and provide me with a single answer. Now, in so doing, it's gone ahead and listed out the different steps that I might need to take, while also citing the different sources from which the information came. So this is one of the ways that we ensure that the responses provided to your end users are actually factually relevant and grounded within the enterprise context that exists for your particular organization. The last thing that you'll notice is it does ask me a follow-up question that says, if you're having trouble, could you please specify which email client you're using? Now, for me personally, the response to that is Gmail. And so I want to make sure that the steps that it gives me are appropriate for that interface. You'll notice here that Moveworks actually goes and rewrites my request I accidentally deleted an important email in Gmail. Can you help me recover it? Now the resources that it's going to go look at are going to be different than the ones it initially provided me, because it wants to make sure that the information that it gives me is the best possible answer for my needs. Great. So now it's telling me, in Gmail, when you delete an email, it stays in your trash for 30 days. After that time, it'll be permanently deleted. And again, I have citations for all of the different sources from which the information came. Please note that if the email was deleted more than 30 days ago, it cannot be recovered. If you still can't find your email after following the steps, it might have been deleted permanently or sent to spam. I still can't find my email in the trash. Can you help me open a ticket? Now, as an end user, perhaps I've gone ahead and followed the troubleshooting instructions that Moveworks presented to me based on the available resources. I can ask for additional help. So here it says, oh, I'm sorry that you're having trouble finding your email. Let's create a ticket. I'll need a brief description of the issue to proceed. Let's use the info from above. The idea here is you can have a natural conversation with Moveworks and give it discrete instructions. Now what's going to happen is Moveworks is going through and saying, hey, I still can't find my email in the trash. Can you help me open a ticket using the information from above? So now it's letting me know that it's preparing to create a ticket on my behalf. Ricardo Salazar is unable to recover a deleted email in Gmail. The email is not found in the trash folder, and it's been less than 30 days. Something important to note here is Moveworks will always ask for confirmation prior to taking any action on behalf of an employee. This is important. We want to make sure that every action is informed and validated prior to being executed. Now, Moveworks, through its native integrations, is able to go and create a ticket on my behalf within the ticketing system that exists within the organization. You'll notice that once the ticket's been created, Moveworks links the ticket back to me to inform me and let me know so that I can have direct access to that information. Now, there is this expectation that as an end user, you might need to go to a portal, for example, to go look at your tickets. That's something that Moveworks is also able to do natively. The next thing that I actually would want to do here is say thanks, let's just be nice, and then ask Moveworks to create a message to let my manager know. Can you draft a message to let my manager know about my email troubles Now, Moveworks is able to maintain the context of a particular conversation. So here what it's actually going and doing is taking a look at the information that I've so far presented to it, the ticket that it helped me open. It's going and looking up my information within the organization through one of those integrations to understand who my manager is. And then it drafts a message that I can simply copy and paste directly to my manager. So it went and found that based on who I am within this company, my manager's name is 𝗬𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀. It drafted the message and included a reference to the ticket that it actually created, as well as a brief description of the issues that I'm actually having. So this is a great way for me to get faster support, regardless of what's actually going on in my day. Let's move on and try a couple of other use cases. This is a pretty straightforward one for typical employee support. But now let's take a look at something within a different area of the organization. Like, for example, sales. What's the stage of the Acme opportunities? Now, I mentioned earlier that we do have the ability to extend into other areas of the enterprise. This is more than simply an IT support bot. The intent here is to deploy an enterprise Copilot that can help guide all of the employees across all of the different systems that exist within an organization. Now you'll notice that what Moveworks is doing here is rewriting my question into something that's more system understandable, and then going and looking up information against Salesforce. These are the current opportunities that exist for Acme specifically within Salesforce. Now let's take a quick look at the renewal one. see what additional information Moveworks is able to tell me about that particular one. Now, the other question that I have is, I might also want to know who's the AE on that account. So while Moveworks is actually going and pulling the additional information for that particular opportunity, I can continue my conversation with it. Here, it's still collecting the last of the information related to the opportunity, while starting to look up who the account executive would be for this particular customer. So you'll notice that the last change on this particular opportunity was September 21st. So this gives me a chance to go and review the additional information. Below, you'll notice that it was able to pull back who the account executive is for the Acme company, and that's Amina. So now, with a couple of simple questions, I was able to go and find out additional information related to the Acme company, this particular opportunity, and who the account executive is that's actually working on it, as well as when the last update was actually posted to it. Let's continue with a few other things. Let's say that I'm curious to know who are Jake Speyer's direct reports. Now earlier you saw how Moveworks was able to go and pull up my specific information to identify Jake as my manager. What I'm asking Moveworks to do now is tell me who else works for Jake. Now in organizations, sometimes this can be somewhat challenging, especially in hybrid work environments where you might not have direct contact with everyone on the team. Here, Moveworks summarized who all of the members of the team are. And now I can even continue and say, can you please add Ollie and Ian to the architects group? Now you'll notice that it's still, again, asking me for confirmation before it takes any action on my behalf. Now with this being a conversational interface, I don't need to explicitly say yes. I can go ahead and continue the conversation with something simple, like sure. And Moveworks is going to go and try to execute this action. Now in so doing, you'll notice that it went ahead and started the action and continued to inform me along the way. Now, it's initiated the process of adding Ollie and Ian to the Solution Architects group. It's created an incident. After all, Moveworks wants to be a good corporate citizen and align to your current audit and business processes. Finally, it's gone ahead and informed me that it was able to take the action on my behalf, and I can continue on with my day. Let's swing back to something that every employee needs to do on a pretty regular basis. Earlier, I was talking about John needing access to Salesforce. So let's say I go through and do something simple like that. I need access to SFTC. Now it's pretty common that folks are going to use acronyms or shorthand to refer to systems or processes or tools that exist within the organization. I mentioned as well that Moveworks is going to be aware of all of the enterprise context. So we want to make sure that we understand the way that folks within a company are going to refer to their internal resources. In this case, it understood SFTC as Salesforce. And then it also noticed that there's a few different roles that could be granted for Salesforce. It's asking me here for standard, sales, or customer success. If I'm a new team member, I might not know. And I could go and say something like, I'm not really sure, but I need to be able to update opportunities. Now, by having an actual understanding of what the different roles within Salesforce do in this environment, Moveworks can actually go ahead and guide me to the appropriate result. As an end user, I don't actually need to know what these different roles do. The important thing for me to know is what are the things that I'm trying to accomplish. Here, it's going and saying, hey, I need to grant access to Ricardo, to Salesforce, and he needs the ability to update opportunities. It's letting me know that it's suggesting the sales role for Salesforce. Sure, let's go ahead and get me that access, please. Now on the back end, it's going to go take a look at what it needs to do in order to execute that within this environment. Per your request to update your Salesforce role to sales is currently being processed, and it's going to let me know once it's done. Again, it's continually informing me of the things that it's doing. And in this case, it's actually reached out to my manager, Jake Spire, for approval on this particular request. So now Jake will have received a direct message via Moveworks on Teams, letting him know that I'm requesting access to the sales role within Salesforce. This is another way that Moveworks can help accelerate your business. The idea here is, hey, let's make sure that we're getting the appropriate information to the right people in the fastest time possible where they currently exist for most of their day. In this case, Teams or a collaboration tool. Let's continue with a few more things. Let's say, for example, that I need to go to a customer on-site in SF. What's our hotel allowance? Now, this is more of a policy-related question. The interesting thing about this one is I don't necessarily need to know where this policy lives. Am I supposed to go to a travel and expense site? Am I supposed to go and check HR? Maybe it's finance related. I actually don't need to know any of those things. Moveworks is able to go and pour through the different information and provide me a direct response. Now I can say, cool, what about flights? I'm assuming economy class? I'm not really sure, right? The response told me about my nightly hotel allowance as well as my per diem so that I can go and expense things like meals. And the next piece is, how do I actually get there? Now, not only is Moveworks able to go and look up the information, but it can directly answer the question. I asked, I'm assuming economy class. And Moveworks is letting me know here that I'm correct. For business travel, the flight class allowance is economy. So that's great. Now I've gotten the information that I need about my hotel allowance, my per diem, and the flight class that I'm allowed to book. And then finally, let's go a little bit into a different area where maybe I'm an engineer within an organization and I need to know how to set up my work environment. As an engineer, I'm going to be using some shorthand. I want to get my work done quickly, but maybe I don't actually need to know. Maybe I don't actually know how my work environment should be set up. So this is again going to a different domain of information. It's not pulling up policy information or sales or regular IT support. This could be more technical documentation and instructions for engineers themselves. Now here, it's going to go and let me know that it's looking into 5 different related answers. In so doing, it's able to give me specific instructions on what I need to do. So here it says I need to go and set up this GitHub repo and set up an SSH key, clone all of my local stuff, and the first time I do this, I need to install Xcode. I don't have Xcode. How to install. Now earlier, we looked at what Moveworks was able to do with provisioning Salesforce and a particular role within Salesforce for me as a team member. In the case of Xcode, maybe the process is different. I might actually need to do some different work here. It's letting me know that to install Xcode, I need to submit a request through the install software form. So what Moveworks is able to do through its integrations is go and look up all of the forms that exist within perhaps your ServiceNow catalog, make sense of them, and then present them back to me as an end user so that I can continue on with my day. I mentioned earlier the ability to look up information within tickets. Let's say, for example, that I might be wondering, hey, did I already open a ticket for AWS keys? Maybe I opened the ticket a while ago and I simply can't remember. Moveworks is able to understand the question here and pour through the information that exists within the tickets that I've opened myself. Now, as an end user, normally this is something where I would need to go to a portal, search through my tickets, and if I'm someone that's particularly active, this might take me a while. The other important thing here is I actually don't need to remember the ticket number itself. All I have to do is ask in natural language, and Moveworks is able to go and find it. Now it's letting me know that it's in the new state. I'm going to just ask for an update. Can you please ask for an update or someone to get back to me on that ticket? As with the rest of the instances, Moveworks is going to let me know what it's actually trying to do. Confirmed that, yeah, I can go ahead and do this for you. And then it's going to go and offer to add those comments to that ticket. This is all happening on the back end, not only through our integrations, but also by leveraging all of those large language models that I mentioned earlier. And as always, it's going to ask for confirmation. So I can reply with a simple yes, please, and Moveworks on the back end is going to go and directly add a comment to that ticket. Now, as an end user, I didn't have to leave Teams. I was able to do all of this work, get access to Salesforce with the sales role, look up information related to travel and expense, look up flight information, execute additional actions like adding a couple of team members to a particular distribution list, and then even updating my tickets natively. The possibilities for Moveworks across the enterprise are massive. A lot of our customers have extended into areas like HR, facilities, marketing, legal, aside from just things like IT that are much more straightforward. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to speaking with you about the Moveworks AI Copilot Advantage.